Hello and welcome to Chatz, a television podcast, the TV book club hosted by two best friends. This is season 18 of Chatz, a television podcast entitled Toon Couch, Toon Madness. It's a riff on Too Fast, Too Furious. Pretty good. Hey, speaking of riffs, speaking of Too Fast, Too Furious, all that stuff, pretty zany. Also pretty zany, trying to pick our next chat season from a pile of 64 different animated series. But probably the zaniest thing of all is those dang series themselves. Woo! Oh, man. We're going to talk about them. My name's Magellan, and wait a minute. Them and me in the same podcast? What is this, a crossover episode? No, I'm just kidding. It's Allen.
That's Mrs. Peanut Butter to you, motherfucker. I'll break your kneecaps if you ever talk about my husband again like that.
Oh, yeah.
Do they ever
How
talk
you
about
doing?
Mrs. Peanut Butter? I don't think that exists. No. He's a bachelor. I'm doing well. Hello, Magellan. This was a fascinating batch of episodes that we watched this week, and I'm so excited to talk about them.
Me too.
But I'm doing well. I got my big coffee. I love having a mug warmer. I've Chatzummed it before. Get a mug warmer, y'all. I got my girlfriend one recently.
Oh, I didn't know you had a mug warmer. It plugs in. It's like a little baby hot plate almost.
Yeah, exactly. Or yeah, it's just a hot plate. Actually, I probably should have just called it that. It warms mugs.
Yeah.
The one thing is you have to turn it off. And mine thankfully beeps if you turn it off, but it's still warm. Like it still flashes a light to tell you like, hey, this is off, but it's still hot. Don't touch it. That's the biggest thing, is just be careful to either turn it off or unplug it. So I got hot coffee. I'm eating falafel later today. We're visiting a family friend who's making like a big old falafel bake. I'm so excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I had halal food yesterday. I'm eating good.
Mashallah. That's
I
amazing.
had cheesecake pudding yogurt earlier. What's the best meal you had in the last week?
Best meal I had in the last week. Oh. I mean, we got some Chinese food the other day. That was nice. Oh, you know what? We were in Flushing yesterday, and we went to this like food court thing, and I got some dumplings with like a peanut butter sauce on them. They're pretty good.
Ooh, I love peanut butter sauce so much. I miss their peanut butter sauce.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, let's talk about these shows. So, if you're joining us, welcome. If you're joining us and you're like, what? That's cool too. Let me tell you what's going on. So, as I said before, 64 different animated series. That means we need some kind of a process to whittle those down and figure out which one are we going to spend this precious life of ours on. What we've devised is a kind of division structure where we take those 64 shows, split them into 8 groups of 8, and then whittle each of those groups down to one before each of them spits out a show that goes on a big final bracket of 8. We're in our 6th division. This is the second half of it. This is our adult animation division. And what has become kind of the way that we do this on Toon Couch Toon Madness is we have kind of a first half that's like that genre in a more classic way, and a second half that's like that genre, but it's a little more expansive, different ways of thinking about it. So adult animation sort of kind of means shows for adults that have adult senses of humor, but not all 4 of those shows cleanly fall under that exact definition. It'll be interesting to talk about. So the 4 programs that we watched the first episodes of for this week were BoJack Horseman, Final Space, Scavenger's Reign, and Tuca and Bertie. We're going to talk about those shows in chronological order, which means we're going to start with 2014's BoJack Horseman. Finally, so many of my friends are out there like, hooray, Magellan has watched an episode of The Depression Show. So let's get into it. BoJack Horseman, episode 1. The title is The BoJack Horseman Story, Chapter 1, written by Raphael Bob Waxberg, directed by Joel Moser. It aired, or Joel Moser, perhaps. It aired on August 22nd, 2014 on Netflix. Alan, what happened in episode 1 of BoJack Horseman?
In this episode, washed-up sitcom star BoJack Horseman begins working with ghostwriter Diane Nguyen on his memoir, reconnects with his former co-star, and struggles with the uncomfortable reality of revisiting his past and his fading place in Hollywood.
Tell me your background with BoJack Horseman.
So I too had heard for years, like, this is the good depression show. It's better than you think it is. Adult animation. Hype. Sure, I like all the things you're telling me. I don't want to watch it. I just didn't. I knew it was sad. It wasn't because I thought it was ugly. I just was not ready to be sad. And then the pandemic happened. And my friends and I, actually, I was talking to one of them last night, and we went down the list of every show we watched during COVID. They are all, in some way or another, COVID shows, either about depression or about isolation or both, which is remarkable. And so in that mix, we watched all 3 seasons of BoJack Horseman. And I just remember really, really, really loving it. I think this show grew on me. It takes a little while to grow on you, but once it gets there, like I was watching this episode and I was like, you guys are holding back so much of what makes you good because it's a pilot, that I was kind of like let down. But I still think this is a good pilot.
There's 6 seasons of BoJack Horseman, by the way.
Oh, sorry. They're short seasons. Yeah. I think that's why I was confused. Yeah, we watched all 6 seasons. No, you're good. I think it takes a while to build, and you can kind of see that in this pilot. We're just like planting seeds that we don't even know are going to sprout later. But what about you?
Yeah, I mean, this is a show that tons of people have been like, oh, you haven't seen it? Oh, you'd really like it, is like what I know about it.
That's an insult, by the way. They're calling you depressed.
Yeah, right. One of my earliest notes was like, hey, if all of your friends are telling you to watch the show, you should take a group trip to the depression medicine store and like see what they got for you. Parentheses, complimentary, close parentheses. Yeah, so a lot of people have said like, oh, you would like this. And I have kind of a funny relationship with people recommending me things, where if too many people recommend something to me, it's then like, oh, well, I can't. I don't know why that's the thing, but it's like, I can't. It's too late. Maybe part of it is like I like being in on something on the ground floor, and so if everybody I know who would like something has already seen it, it's like I'm not gonna have anybody who I can say should watch it. I don't know. And then also, yeah, I talked about this last week with a lot of these adult animation shows. Sometimes I just don't like looking at them. I didn't like looking at this. I don't really like Will Arnett that much also. So I've put off watching it for a while. Watched this episode, and my takeaway was like, yeah, in 2014, I really would have liked this show. Like I should have probably no, and I like it now. I like it now. But that was a time in my life where, or even, whatever, into 2010s, I would have been like, oh, yum, let me watch all of this. And I think I have like a different relationship to my depression now, which probably changes how I would relate to the show. But I enjoyed it. But everybody was right, and I should have watched it when everybody told me to watch it. But let's talk about it.
Yeah, I don't want to like make you feel any more guilt, because something I've learned about dealing with somebody who has depression and or also ADHD is like guilt is not a motivator. Guilt is just an emotion.
Right.
And so like maybe over the years, if I've ever been like, why haven't you done the thing? I think that's like the worst way to recommend something to someone. It's like, you haven't seen it, you got it, like in general, because that just like establishes guilt. And it's common because people are putting their passion ahead of actually getting the other person to want to watch the thing. So the guilt is coming not from like, I want to guilt you, but like, I want to talk about this with you. But unfortunately, it rears its ugly head as a form of shame and guilt. And I just don't think anybody meaningfully wants to do something because they were shamed into it.
Right. Yeah. And to be clear, I don't feel like that's not how I feel guilty necessarily. It's more like I think no matter how good something is, there's always like a time in your life where it would have connected with you the best.
Of course.
And I think I'm like a few years past kind of like peak receptiveness to BoJack Horseman in my life.
Especially like, yeah, that's totally fair. Thank you for clarifying that. Especially because this cast is so 2014. Like, you look at this like group of people and you're like, these are people that were like successful. And also the show is kind of about Harvey Weinstein and the Me Too movement. It's about like evil men being held accountable for evil actions, which is like unfortunately something that's still very relevant, but it almost starts to become a historical artifact of like, we really cared this much about like, why did we let successful men just like keep doing things? And that the further we get from that, the more it feels like a historical artifact as opposed to deeply, deeply prescient like it did in 2014 into 2020. So I think that's another factor of it. Is like, this show is really good because it's putting its finger on the pulse. It's putting its finger on the neck, frankly, of like a really sensitive topic and being like, we're going to be light about this sometimes, but we are in no way endorsing this. And that's like the most interesting thing about BoJack Horseman to me, because you have BoJack voiced by Will Arnett, who is this washed up sitcom star who watches his own shows, who literally gets off on his own performance, not figuratively, but literally. And he's filthy. He's horrible to look at, right? Like, you said earlier that you don't like Will Arnett, and I think like I don't want to be this type of fan, right? But this is the one time I'll say it. You're not supposed to like Will Arnett's performance in this. Like, he's very annoying here.
Right.
He's like he's playing the most annoying version of Will Arnett. Like, I don't personally dislike Will Arnett. I don't know him. I know he's one of the most successful podcasters out there. Congrats to him. Smartless is a pretty good show sometimes. But he's like leaning into that, like, smart, this kind of voice. I talk like this all the time. It's like, oh, I fucking hate you. And like 3/4 of this pilot, you're like, do they want me to like him? And then as soon as they bring Diane into the show and Alison Brie brings this like thoughtful, therapized, patient character to him, you're like, oh, we just met our protagonist. Our protagonist was never BoJack. We are watching somebody else learn about BoJack Horseman, and through her lens, we come to like empathize with characters. Because before she enters the show, it like doesn't feel like the engine is running for me. So that was why I was like, I kind of wish we watched a little bit more, just because Diane is so core to like what makes this show work.
I love, and I've always loved the premise of the show when I've had it described to me of, we're going to do this thing about this wash up sitcom star. And it just so happened that he's a horseman. And that's like part of the animation charm of it. And I didn't even know that part of the premise was also this dynamic of, he's supposed to be writing his memoir and there's this ghostwriter. I think that's great. That's like a pretty genius way to process this character who's like never gonna write a truthful account of his own life unless there's somebody else who's standing right next to him and is like, well,
that's not how that happened.
Let's think about that a little more. Let's like hold up a mirror to you. Because it's not that he's surrounded by yes people, it's he's surrounded by people who he's learned how to tune out any sort of feedback from them, and they like, people's protests to his behavior are pretty lackluster. Like his agent / on and off girlfriend, whatever, played by Amy Sedaris, who's great. Princess, what's her name? Princess Carolyn. Like, she sort of pushes back against his bad behavior, but not really, because she continues to work with him and sleep with him. His roommate,
Todd.
What's his roommate's name?
Todd.
What's his name? Todd Chavez, played by Aaron Paul, is like, again, come on, like all of his protests are like, yeah, that sort of thing. So yeah, it really works for me that by the end of the episode, we spend this whole episode showing like, this is why this guy is the way he is. This is why he's lost all perspective on himself. He's like so completely dissociated from his life. and he doesn't understand how much of a piece of shit he is. Now we can bring in this character who is going to be eminently patient and observant and isn't gonna leave because she's getting paid to write this book.
Exactly.
And you're like, cool, this is gonna work. This is gonna be good.
We hope. We hope. Well, we hope. I mean, it's like the show is
it's
gonna
be
work.
good TV.
Yeah. It's great.
The relationship is not necessarily gonna work. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You make a great point there that like everybody in his life seems like just another wacky sitcom character, because for the first two-thirds of this episode, we are watching it through his perspective of like, this is a guy who watches people and thinks about them as like, you're this character to me. Princess Carolyn is only there for the sex and for like comforting me, and all she ever wants is kids. And as long as I always hold that against her and say maybe she'll never actually leave me because she feels incomplete and needs that. I think PC has one of the best arcs of this show, and Amy Sedaris is absolutely stellar in this.
Yeah, she's so good.
Todd is good, not great. He's not one of my favorite characters, but he does get a lot of pathos later because he's another person who you're like, oh, you're just the stoner who lives with me, and that's not more complicated. I can put you away in that box. But like, Todd is living his own life, and as we see in this episode, even the gag of like, the reason he wants to have a party is because he has gone up to some shit, and like the mob is coming after, the cartel is coming after him, which is both funny and implies like Todd has other things going on that he doesn't tell BoJack, because BoJack never listens. So why would you tell him? And so, yeah, like you said, like Diane comes in, she has no connection to him. She doesn't know him she's not a fan girl. He can't manipulate her the way he manipulates other people and like compartmentalizes them in his life. Or the publisher, Patton Oswalt's Penguin publisher. Like, I think the animal thing is super interesting in this show because it's something you tend to forget. Like, you literally forget that you're watching a horse sometimes.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, they will either have a gag or a like social commentary about like what the other animals can do. Like, even Princess Carolyn is a cat who wants to have a litter of kittens. Like, it's her both wanting to be a mother and like a thing that a cat does. Or like the penguin being like deeply nervous and feeling like he's on thin ice all the time. Like, the metaphor is there for every single animal in the show, often including the background animals. I mean, hell, Mr. Peanut Butter is a golden retriever. Mr. Peanut Butter is the most annoying. Like, don't you want to do stuff? Don't you want to do stuff? But like, he's also an example of how that can be so toxic, and how how Paul F. Tompkins brings the like, oh, this fucking guy. Oh my God, leave me alone. Oh,
I love Mr. Peanut Butter.
He's wonderful, and he's not a character that, in my mind, they ever like make you like. He doesn't have like a tragic backstory. He just is like that. But that's kind of the point, is like, it sucks when you meet someone in your life who's just nice, but like stupid as fuck. Like, he just doesn't get things, but he never has a moment where he doesn't get canceled. It's just like, what? Why does your life always work like this? That's another like background thing. Yeah. So they really do a good job of like setting up all of these characters here that they're going to do a great job developing over the series.
Yeah. And this is one of the, just here in this episode, one of the smartest deconstructions of the sitcom that I think I've ever seen, which is why I think like me in the 2010s would have really liked the show, because I was into that kind of like the sitcom and like anti-sitcoms, and Community is one of my favorite shows, in big part because that's when I was watching it, and like I was meeting what the show was interested in when I was interested in that. But it's so smart here. Like you're saying, we're presented with these characters and their kind of sitcom archetypes, and we're also shown how those sitcom archetypes are shallow, inaccurate, and constructed by BoJack, because like that is the way that he understands his life, or wants to understand it, is like, oh, I'm in the BoJack is a grown guy show, and here's my lazy roommate, and here's my wacky on again off again agent, and here's this guy that I hate, and his life is being beset by like all the problems of the sitcom about just stasis and lack of character depth, and he's like very gladly, well, not gladly, but he's constructing that for himself, living within it, and then being like, why? And he's like always making these quips that are sitcom lines. Everybody around him doesn't have the heart to tell him to stop, doesn't laugh at them either. And it's like, dude, you're turning your existence into a show for nobody that nobody's watching. And what are you doing? Like, do something else. So it's pretty smart.
Yeah, and throughout the series, you can kind of, if you like therapy, or if you like psychoanalyzing fictional characters, I think the show is delicious, because BoJack himself specifically has like every adult male mental health issue that you can think of in one. He's depressed, he's anxious, he's neurodivergent in like so many ways. He's highly avoidant. He has a detached, affection style.
He's a misogynist.
He's a massive misogynist and egotist. He's, what's the word when you think that the whole world revolves around you?
He's solipsistic.
Extremely.
Narcissistic. Yeah,
and therapy doesn't really work for this kind of person. Like, that's the thing that's like really sad. It's not to say that like therapy doesn't work. It's like the whole show is him, like Diane coming up to him and being like, here are some like basic therapy techniques to like maybe help you, maybe talk, like in this episode, right? He says like, she's like, you are in a really cool era of your life. Like, you're responsible for your own happiness. Maybe you could like choose to accept that you've done good things and that you're going to continue to do good things. And then just brick wall of avoidance is like, no, I don't want to feel that. I'm going to throw up and like completely defer to thinking about like, you're dating Mr. Peanut Butter, because I don't want to look at myself. He's like so afraid of looking at himself. And I think like BoJack's relationship to therapy is interesting, because there are ways where he does come to self-reflect for sure, but this is not a show about him getting better. That's like the one thing I will tell you. And that's like one thing to warn people about if they've ever, like us, like dealt with depression or like severe negative thoughts, is that like, this is not a show about somebody who sees the error of his ways and fixes it. It's somebody who like sees the error of his ways and realizes that he has something to fix. Does he fix it? Not like immediately, And
Right.
it shows also that healing journey is like not linear, right? And I don't want to like talk too much about the whole show. I know I'm doing that a decent amount, because like I just think that you watch this pilot and you keep thinking like, when is it going to get to the thing that everyone says is the best show? And I'm just trying to like, highlight and underline that's absolutely coming over time.
Yeah.
It takes time to build that.
Well, that's another, it sounds like kind of deconstruction of the sitcom thing, that, in a sitcom episode, someone will do just the worst thing and then be like, oh, shoot. I guess that was not nice. Now I'm better. And then they'll come back next week and do some dumb shit again. So that makes sense to me that we'd have this show where you have a character who's constantly kind of like almost coming to awareness and almost coming to the point of taking accountability, but he's in this world and self-perception where it's like, but you don't actually grow and change because you're in the show. You're like still the same guy, and that's who you are. And it's really interesting to see the contrast between BoJack Horseman and like the BoJack Horseman character from Horsing Around, where it's this version of him where it's like, he was sort of a fuck up guy who then decided to adopt these kids, and he turned out to be a good dad. So the show kind of like yada yadas all of the growth and introspection that BoJack Horseman actually needs to do to become that person. And he's like, it'll be easier to just kind of like look at this simulation of me being a good person and like enjoy that and imagine that that's possible.
Exactly. What does that look like? I don't have to do the hard part. The growth is really wonderful. evolution of the show's art style and its like creative use of framing and stuff like that. Like this kind of feels like a live action sitcom that happens to be animated for the most part. Like they haven't really, except for the animal stuff, they haven't stretched the boundaries of like what the animation can do yet. Which I think does a fine job of like getting you into the world and making sure you know these are real people. But I think my last big point, like broadly, is I think that this show pairs really neatly with the evil men trope of TV in the 2010s. Like, and is in a lot of ways a response to that obsessive need to paint those characters as bad, no matter how much, and then the fans still liking them. Because like, I don't know any millennials out there who are wearing BoJack Horseman quote t-shirts, or who are like, he's so relatable icon, the way that they were with like Walter White, or like, I actually, speaking of Alison Brie, was just I've been watching a lot of episodes of Mad Men here and there while I work from home, because it's like a good show to stimulate my brain. And Alison Brie's on the show. She's fantastic. And it's so clear watching that show that like you're watching somebody unravel. I'm like, how did we ever not know this? But, you know, we didn't have as many shows and as much discussion at the time. So by the time we're in 2014 watching BoJack Horseman, we're like, nobody's watching this and going, BoJack's awesome. He's such a cool dude. Nobody's, because that's not the point of the show. The whole point of the show is to disassemble him and break him down in front of you and be like, what's left of this man, of this sad, sad man?
Yeah. Which I think is partly that's Will Arnett's kind of superpower as an actor, is he can play this like high charisma guy who you can believe is like either charming everyone or could once charm everyone or thinks that he's charming everyone, and you as an audience member also know like this guy sucks. Like you never think that Job in Arrested Development has it all figured out. And I think that's also partly to do with like he's a horse, so you're not gonna get tricked by that part of your brain that's like, wow, John Hamm is really handsome, so that must mean that he's good. Or like, damn, you know, Bryan Cranston looks really cool with a goatee, so he must be a sweet guy. Like there's something in that empathy center part of the brain that sometimes skips around narrative. But I think by creating this buffer of like, that's a horse, oh, let me think about them as a person, I'm now like thinking intellectually about the character, and I can take in all this intellectual information, which is interesting.
Yeah, the show, the interesting thing about it, like, you know, we talked in our Patreon recently, on our Patreon, about the movie Real Life and how like art becomes reality, reality becomes life, and BoJack's arc starts to mirror Will Arnett's life a little bit too. Like Will Arnett has been very open about his like struggles with alcoholism, and there is a whole really well done arc in BoJack about Alcoholics Anonymous that's like in rehab, which is super interesting, and that came from literally Will Arnett being like, I feel this in the character, I feel like he needs to go through what I went through, and like kind of they form that. So yeah, again, despite it being like a funny show about like little animals and you being able to distance yourself from liking them, it loops around to being deeply, deeply human and relatable, which I think is the biggest success of the series.
Yeah.
What were some other things from this episode that you wanted to discuss or highlight?
Yeah, some stray notes. I mean, very funny to me that the book publisher from Penguin is a penguin. That's just fun.
So fun.
The like Charlie Rose interview or whatever at the beginning, dismissed by critics as broad and saccharine and not good. And then BoJack says, like, is it okay to say shit? And Charlie Rose says, please don't.
Is it just me or am I nailing this interview?
The show made me want to watch Party Down. Just all the people who were like, are you the horse from Horsing Around? Made me think about what's the line? Are we having fun?
Are we having fun yet? Yeah.
From Party Down. Other lines I liked. Princess Carolyn says over the phone, because BoJack's like, are my looks slipping? Like as my agent. She's like, no, you look great. Okay, but as my ex-girlfriend. She says, you look like a pile of crap, ate a second pile of crap, and crapped out a third pile of crap. He says, wait, so which pile of crap do I look like? The third one. What? That's the worst one.
The worst one. It's also very funny. All this stuff about drama and depression and stuff. This is also a very funny show from top to bottom.
I was masturbating to what the picture represented.
Yeah. I would never masturbate to picture myself. That'd be gross.
Yeah. That jump cut from why do you want to have a party so bad? Cut to, and that's for trying to sell E on the cartel's turf. I laughed out loud at this.
Yeah.
Like, the sort of shock value of this lazy stoner character is having a really dramatic side story.
It's the best thing about Todd. It's like, what the fuck is Todd up to this week? Oh my god, this B plot's insane. Yeah.
I enjoy what must be some kind of foreshadowing or just a note about where the show is willing to go tonally when BoJack's in the hospital watching the finale of Horsing Around, which involves his character being killed off and the kids going into like foster care. And he says, we might have gone too dark on that series finale.
Yeah.
It's put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. Put a pin in the huge pin.
And then my favorite Mr. Peanut Butter line is my last note about lines. He goes, Erica, how are you looking so beautiful? I'm furious.
The problem is Paula Tompkins is just so nice and funny that you're like, I can't. It's hard to hate Mr. Peanut Butter because he's so good.
Yeah, he's really good. I love it.
I have two quick ones. So obviously there's the big reveal. Diane is Mr. Peanut Butter's girlfriend, and BoJack going like, so you guys have sex, right? Like penis and vagina sex? And like, yeah, frequently. You, her? Yeah, the two of us. Stop. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about that. Stop saying it. I think the best scene in this episode is Diane's appeal to his ethos. Just like the tenderness of that scene, the patience of like, why don't you just reframe your life? And like, it's the attempt to see somebody who's hurting and be like, have you ever thought about this? And it's like, yeah, he's probably thought about that and like rejected that methodology on purpose. He's older than you. So it doesn't just take like, well, have you ever thought about being happy? Like she's not really doing that. She's coming at it from a place of empathy, but he's coming at it from like, shut the fuck up and write my memoir and make me look good. He's still there. He's at stage 1 of his arc. I love that whole scene. My hardest laugh of the episode easily was when he's like, I'm not avoidant about you having kids, Princess Carolyn. And we get that cutaway gag that goes on for like a whole minute extra than it needs to, where they're outside of Lululemon. And then she's like, I want to kind of have kids. And then he jumps into traffic. Then he gets arrested. Then the guy talks to him. It's like it goes for like a minute straight through the not animated on-screen background of the cutaway gag. I loved that scene.
That's funny. I had one last thought about the show, which is like a critique, a thing that really bugs me is you have this show where you're like, okay, we're going to mix anthropomorphized animals with humans. Sure, that's fine. But the two main human characters are not white characters being played by white actors.
Yeah.
Like Diane is textually Vietnamese American.
Correct.
If the Wikipedia is accurate on that.
It is. Yep.
Todd Chavez could be white or white passing Latino or whatever. But the point is, there's something going on there, like a desire to, I don't know, make the cast seem like they're racially diverse characters.
Yeah.
But then it's just white actors, and around them are animals. Like you could have just made them animals or something. It's really weird. I don't like it. I don't know why you're doing this. And that bugged me a lot.
Yeah, I think the show had ended by the time that that conversation was like more in the zeitgeist, because Tuca and Bertie fixes this problem, first of all. And Allison Brie had said like publicly multiple places after the show ended, right after the show ended, like, I regret voicing this character for that reason. I didn't need to be the one. We should have had a Vietnamese writer and a Vietnamese actress. But like other shows from the era that kept going, like Big Mouth would recast characters who were, playing outside of their race. like Jenny Slate leaving Big Mouth, stuff like that, or Kristen Bell on Central Park, I think it was. So it's just like they started and ended before that was like a really important piece of the conversation around representation, like actively. So, but yeah, it's a problem. You're right.
Yeah, it's just weird to me that you can be like, we should have an Asian character, but it's like, okay, there are
And
Asian
they even
people.
yeah, and they even like go into that aspect of her backstory. It's not even just like set dressing; like it's a part of her character. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
weird choice.
Yeah.
Time and place, I guess.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Well, yeah, let's move on. So, second show we watched this week was 2018's Final Space. We watched episode 1 of Final Space, entitled Chapter 1, which was written by Olin Rogers and David Sachs, who are the co-creators of the show. Directed by Mike Roberts. Aired on February 26th, 2018. Alan, what happened on TBS? What happened in Final Space?
In this episode, astronaut Gary Goodspeed finishes his prison sentence aboard the Galaxy 1 and encounters a mysterious alien named Mooncake, whose incredible powers draw the attention of a dangerous enemy and send Gary into a cosmic adventure. John, had you heard of Final Space?
No. Not at all.
Fair enough. I think some chats for friends had talked about it and obviously put it on the list for us. As soon as I read about it, I was like, oh, I've seen ads for this. I've been aware that this existed for years and just not thought about it. And that's one of the biggest bummers about animation in the 2010s and 2020s. This is like, how do you get anybody to actually sit down and watch your show besides like it's the new show that has Tom Kenny in it, or it's got Fred, like you have to Claudia Black's in this show. Conan O'Brien co-produced this show because the guy who wrote the original comic like pitched it, and then Conan O'Brien's team was like, oh shit, we kind of want to make this. So it exists in a weird space where I'm like, why didn't I hear about this? This totally seems up my alley. But the truth, and I always talk about like, we need more sci-fi on TV these days. I want more. I want to be overwhelmed. And then it comes out and like nobody watches it. So, you know, I was bummed that I had not heard of this because I watched it and I was deeply charmed by it. It's a cool world that we set up. I think this and Scavenger's Reign do a great job of like setting our characters off into space, but like leaving the planet behind with questions. And you're like, what is going on back there? The difference being that Scavenger's Reign kind of feels like reading a book that is like of one tone, and Final Space feels like it's trying to obfuscate its seriousness from you. And I have a feeling it's going to like let itself get more serious as it lets the main character shut the fuck up. I think he talks way too much in this. I think he's too funny, and everything I read is the show gets way better when he stops talking so much and lets the other characters exist. And it bums me out because he's the showrunner. It's like a bummer when the showrunner is the voice of the main character, and you're like, oh, you are not. It's not that he's bad at this, but it's kind of like BoJack, where you're like, I don't like you. I don't think I'm supposed to like you, but you're annoying. But like Futurama sets up its premise and then immediately gives us a great little ensemble. And in this, I'm like, yeah, but our Philip J. Fry equipment is like kind of obnoxious. What did you think of Final Space?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. There's something about it that for the first like 20 minutes of the episode, I was like, this is not fitting together for me. I don't like this guy as the main guy. And then in the last 5 minutes, we get a little flash of like why this guy is the way he is. We get a flash of here's some of the things that are possible in this world. Here's what it looks like when we've got the ensemble more or less starting to settle in. And I left the episode being like, okay, yeah, I think I like this show. And you know, that's always a risky run when the way that you do a protagonist is like, okay, they're going to be a piece of shit, so that as the show goes on, we can like have them grow up and become a better person.
Yeah.
The risk is like you could make them too shitty, but in a way that you're not clear that you think it's shitty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think BoJack Horseman, like Final Space, kind of suffered for me from watching it after BoJack, and I also happened to watch Scavenger's Reign before it,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like both of its things are being done
Covered.
better in those other shows. Um, and like I saw Project Hail Mary earlier this year, which is also kind of like a Final
Yeah.
Space esque. I'm trapped in space. One guy who's like carrying the plot, and then I start to meet these other little creatures and characters. It also does that a little better. Um, yeah. So I just don't like Gary, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the show wants me to like him a little bit. Um, like I think it wants me to enjoy him getting annoyed at Kevin and like drop kicking the robot, and wants me to enjoy him being like twist my nipples rough.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I don't like it. And it kind of felt like I think what I was feeling a little, I don't know if it's frustrated or just bummed about, is like this is what a lot of adult animation ends up looking like in an American context, is this feeling that there needs to be sugar with the medicine. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to do this kind of like sci-fi thing where there's all this stuff, you need to have this kind of like quippy guy who's saying funny stuff all the time as the main character. But what we saw last week with Futurama is you can get so much of that comedy from so many other things besides the main guy. Like Fry often says funny stuff, but he's not saying twist my nipples rough.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And there's
He's
something
reacting.
else that's like funnier than Fry. Um, but it's a tonal thing that I think the show will probably smooth out because it's trying to land in that tough pocket of like there's serious stakes, the world is cool, and the guy is funny, and that's a hard thing to nail, I think.
You guys can feel free to clip this for YouTube or whatever, but how many times do I have to watch an adult animated show where the fans of it go, just give it a couple episodes, the comedy falls away, and the guy has trauma. I promise you, he has trauma. Girl, I have trauma, and I am annoying, and I'm also worthy of being interesting from episode one. Like
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of the like. I promise you, and I believe you. Like I read
Mm-hmm.
vaguely about where Final Space goes, and I was like, whoa, that's so cool. I love all of the
Mm-hmm.
adjectives and nouns that you guys are using. None of
Mm-hmm.
that's in this pilot. We just are like, here's a bunch of wacky robots and a guy who says crazy jokes. Like, and I know it's partly a network thing, right? This was on network television. So there's this really
Sure.
big pressure to be like, we gotta be funny. It's TBS, right? We gotta be funny. If people are gonna watch an animated show on TBS, they better laugh at it.
Right.
TBS is not the place for like a serious, thought-provoking sci-fi show. It just isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So this show sets itself up as like a space sitcom, which I don't know how long it's going to be that, and then obfuscates all this cool stuff. Like we have the villain in this who's like super cool, and he like strangles the guy, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa, there's like some violence going on.
Mm-hmm.
Mooncake is super interesting. He's got this. It's like a tiny little creature with a huge world destroyer beam.
Mm-hmm.
That alone is a great premise. That was apparently one of the like key bullet points when they sold the show. Was like we have a cute character
Mm-hmm.
who's insanely powerful, and everybody in the
Yeah,
galaxy wants him.
that is
Um,
fun.
I think the animation is super warm and nice and pleasant. It like sometimes looks like Star Trek Lower Decks a little bit with the eyes, but
Yep.
I don't mean that pejoratively. I like the visual style of from what I've seen of Lower Decks.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, there are even parts of Gary's character that I do like. I too just want somebody to play cards with.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over again, it's like, do you know how to play cards? Can we play cards? This is literally me playing Pokemon with people. Can we
Yeah.
please? If I was strapped on a spaceship, I would also be like, does anybody know how to play the Pokemon trading card game and want to play it with me? I have decks.
Mm-hmm.
Stop blowing my decks up. I only have so many left.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this just didn't do it for me. It just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I think it also feels very kind of boys clubby to me. Just because there's a lot of voice actors that I enjoy. I like Tom Kenny as Hugh. I think Fred Armisen as Kevin is really funny. Um, we get Cat Guy Avocado in there. We get there's the bad guy who's David Tennant, by the way, which is fun.
Love him.
And then like the one female character who's a black woman who's like the only person implied to be in any way competent or knowledgeable is just there as a plot device, object of Gary's affection. Like, I hit on this woman and then deceived her into thinking I was a pilot, and now I'm like imprisoned in space recording like video diaries talking to her, and it's like I'd rather just make a show about her maybe. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, that was not fun. By the end of the episode, I felt similarly to how we felt about Young Justice, where it's like, hey guys, are there any like girl characters in your show?
I know it's a show about isolation, but like we got an ensemble. It's also an ensemble show. Farscape had like 3 women out the rip.
Right. And you could very easily make the robot or the ship a woman. Like, yeah. It doesn't have to, they don't have to be guy.
Human. Yeah.
But there was stuff that I enjoyed. I like the moment where he's making his oatmeal and puts a face in it, says, "Hello, dear friend. It's been a while."
Very Project Hail Mary.
Yeah. I like when Quinn punches him, she says, "Punch!" and punches him, knocks him out. Mm-hmm. That's funny. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I like the little flashback to like Gary as a kid, and just the very visual storytelling of his dad was an astronaut who blew up. He used to call his pet caterpillar, whose dad gave him mooncake. Like, yeah, look, there's a little hint of the trauma. I like Avocado. I'm not a cat. I'm a Ventrexian. Gary says, "See, I'm a Presbyterian myself." That's a good joke.
That's such a Conan O'Brien joke. I'm not saying he wrote this show, but that just feels like a joke that would have been written in like that era, his era of The Simpsons or something.
Yeah, it feels very Simpsons. Yeah, which I liked.
Yeah, Avocado was good. What did I have? Oh, speaking of like cool sci-fi visual stuff, the light folding scene where they're like, we have to warp out of here.
Yeah, that was cool.
And anybody on the outside of the ship just gets erased. Like the one alien that gets stuck behind gets like just like ripped into shreds. That was cool. I was like, I don't need the show to go ultra violent. I don't need like Invincible, but I like the implication that like this could get violent very easily. That's scary. We're not in like happy-go-lucky land. This could very easily get dicey. Or like I said, when David Tennant's character like chokes somebody and like twists their fucking bones and stuff. That was great.
Yeah.
I'm happy that this artist got his big break. That makes me happy that he got a show that got what is it? 36 episodes. That's not terrible these days.
Yeah, but it's like impossible to find now. I watched it on some random website that was like, "Hey, we have it here."
Yeah, I think it's on archive.org because it's been taken off. I think it got Zaslaved. This was like a classic example. This wasn't a classic example of Zaslaving, where it was on Netflix and then it got taken off. So it was very available when it was on. Also, they ended it with a graphic novel earlier this year, which makes me happy. I think I would like this as a graphic novel.
Sure.
Then I don't have to worry about the voice acting and being like, "Oh, this person's annoying." It's like, just read the stories. I want more space adventure shows. I really do. I don't want to complain every time one of them comes out. I was ready to go to bat for this, but I just don't think this one's it. Like you said, like the representation stuff is like, okay, let's say the show does get serious and dark and thought-provoking later. We're starting on the wrong foot though, which implies to me that like even when things get serious, we're still going to be in like boys club mode. And that part I don't need. We've done this better.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Well, let's move to a break and then we'll come back and talk about the other two, yeah?
That's right. We'll be right back after this musical break to talk about Tuca and Bertie as well as Scavenger's Raid. Back after this. Welcome back to Toon Couch Toon Madness, the #1 podcast about two best friends just trying to get by in the world. And I think that's what we're here to talk about as we go to our next show on the Toon Couch Toon Madness bracket, Tuca and Bertie, which was a 10-episode animated series on Netflix. We watched the first episode of it called Thanks for Sharing. This episode was written and directed by show creator Lisa Hannawalt, and it aired May 3rd, 2019 on Netflix. Magellan, can you tell us what happened in the first episode of Tuca and Bertie, please?
In this episode, carefree toucan Tuca moves in with anxious song thrush Bertie after leaving her old living situation. Wait, what? She moves out? Well, hold on.
Tuca moves in.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, but doesn't Tuca move out?
Was in with. Oh, is this? Did I write this wrong? I was out with it. Was out. Oh, they had after leaving her old. Okay, this is wrong. You're right. You're fully right. You're correct. Okay, the premise is that Tuca moves out of their living situation with Bertie so that Bertie can live with her boyfriend, who's played by Stephen Yoon. And they have two very different approaches to adulthood. Tuca is very social, but like it doesn't know where her place is in the world. And Bertie is deeply, deeply anxious. And they're both birds. Tuca and Bertie.
Yeah.
John, had you heard of
Tuca, played by Tiffany Haddish, and Bertie is Ali Wong.
And the boyfriend is played by Stephen Yoon.
I had not heard of Tuca and Bertie. No.
At all?
No.
Wow.
I don't think
so Lisa Hannawalt had worked on BoJack Horseman for several seasons. She's like did animation and some writing stuff, and was there for a lot of its best episodes, and then peels off to do this spin-off. And watching this, as I think of it as like not a spin-off but a reimagination of like getting to do something like BoJack all over again, is really interesting. Because it's like, what if people were not neurotypical but like listened to each other and talked to each other? How would that go? What would that look like? You know, I was really charmed by this. And also, if the animation was a lot more silly. Is it narratively complex? No. Is it paced well? Not really. Is it funny? Actually, yes. Like pretty freaking funny in parts. What did you think of Tuca and Bertie's first episode?
I was charmed by it. Yeah, I like the dynamic between the two characters, and what you were describing of what if your two main characters were women, so their relationship was just like a little bit more communicative, because this is kind of a classic like odd couple thing, Tuca and Bertie's dynamic, but it's a little more self-aware, a little healthier. Still, there's boundary stuff that Bertie needs to figure out. There's like some irresponsibility that Tuca could take accountability for. So like that kind of opposites complement dynamic is still present, but it ends up feeling pretty comfortable, and you're like not worried that something really bad is going to happen. And the show makes very clear, like Bertie kind of does the worst thing that she could do to her partner. What's his name? Speckle. She gives away his grandmother's ashes by mistake, and his grandma gets baked into a cake. And we resolve that by being like, but the cake has our grandma's ghost and everything's fine. So don't worry. Like things are never going to get so bad in this show. And that's fun. And I like this show has the kind of like the editing style almost of that moment where your favorite millennial YouTuber is like, yeah, I hired a new editor, and they seem like they have something to prove. So they're like putting in kind of like little cutaway gags or like little notes on the screen like, well, I don't know about that. So they're just moments like when Speckle's like, look at my face, and then it's just a quick flash of a real picture of a bird. and the way that they play with text on the screen, and Tuca's like going upstairs, so they're making it look like, or downstairs look like a little Mario level.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so there's a lot of kind of frenetic, uh, distraction friendly visual choices that I liked.
You make a great point that this feels like it has something to prove. Obviously, a pilot always has something to prove, but this especially felt like, no, we're not just doing BoJack. Like, we want to be our completely own thing. Like, I was just saying that BoJack is, like, essentially a real-life drama that happens to be animated. This early on, like, later on in BoJack, it becomes much more, it leads into its animation. But this is like, no, it's so animated. It's so cartoonish. It's so ridiculous that it almost pulls me away in parts from, like, just getting to like and know the characters. Sometimes it works, and I think like Haddish and Wong's performances are so good and so specific that I like, just from the voice acting, I know who they are immediately. But I felt like the editing sometimes was a little bit too hyperactive. Made it hard to focus.
Yeah, I would describe it as noisy. Like the signal to noise ratio is just a little off because there's so much that it can feel. It sort of feels like there's show don't tell, and then there's some stuff that's like tell don't show, and that's the problem. And I think sometimes with this show, the issue for me is they tell and then they show.
They do both.
So yeah, but in like kind of the reverse order. It's like, what else could, when Tuca's like, what else do neighbors do? And then there's all the little thought bubbles of all the things that neighbors do. And she's like, oh yeah, a cup of sugar. It feels like I'm watching a kid's cartoon that's like, they're doing that kind of telling because it's helpful to kids to have kind of like multiple modalities of information coming at them. And for me as an adult viewer, it's like, this just feels superfluous. Like you could have done this more efficiently. So it's kind of weird to have this show that's like boom, 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 but is also like kind of inefficient with the way that it uses all those tools. Which ends up making it a show that you can kind of easily tune out of a little bit. Like I found myself tuning out of it, and it's like, how is that happening when this show is working so hard to like keep my attention? But that's kind of what the show's for. Like it's supposed to be a background, chill, fun show that's amusing, and I think it accomplishes that. Like I was charmed by it.
It's a vibes show. I actually want to quickly shout out, we have both seen Lisa Hannawalt recently.
Yes.
She's on the latest episode of Game Changer, and the best moment of the episode was because of her. So folks who know the Noisome Make episode of Game Changer can look that up and see that amazing sequence where Lisa draws some good art. Yeah, so I was thinking like, wait, why do I know that name? And I looked her up. I was like, oh my god, I know your face. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's kind of it is paced and edited like a kid's show, but then you get these like moments of remarkable maturity and sincerity that, again, I'm almost like, BoJack's characters could never do this. They don't talk about things like this. So in a way, it feels like a show where the characters from BoJack did successfully go to therapy. There is a line that's exemplary of this where Bertie says, even though we made up, I still have an upset feeling. And I was like, oh wow, that's like kind of, that's like a little nuance. Like sometimes you have the end of episode like, and I'm sorry that, and you're sorry, and we made up, and I'm still unhappy. Like, shit, there's like emotions that need to be fully processed before we can just have the credit sequence. I loved that, and I was like, that's kind of where the show can like find its niche, is just a calm show about people like working with each other and dealing with each other's faults, you know? Birds with anxiety.
Yeah, the moment like that for me was when Bertie was like, this is awful, he's gently disappointed in me, and then Tuca says, oh no, that's the worst kind of disappointment because you can't be defensive about it.
Yep. Yeah, these are just like very mature characters. And I want to highlight the animation is like so expressive, and Tiffany Haddish has such a distinct voice. Ali Wong does too. Ali Wong's a fantastic voice actress, but like I've heard her and stuff. This was my first time really hearing Tiffany Haddish's voice like consistently, and I was like, she's got that cool rasp. She delivers her lines like they're like almost staccato, just like boom, 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 boom. Like Tuca can say a lot really quickly. I loved it. I love just like listening to this show. It's a satisfying and relaxing show to experience.
Yeah, they both are able to pull off this thing of speaking really quickly and sounding like that is a comfortable pace for them.
Exactly.
Because you're right that Tiffany Haddish's like words per minute is off the charts, but you can't imagine Tuca speaking more slowly than that. And that's fun. I like that.
Anything else? This is not a very, I mean, it's a longish pilot. I felt like it was a little long in the tooth, like with the pacing, but I was like, I kind of got what I wanted out of it.
Yeah, there's a little. This is like almost a show that it's like you could watch this with a young person. I don't know how adult animation it has to be, and then it's like, oh, but Tuga has like a big butt, and they go to a plant woman's house and she takes her shirt off.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like Canawalt's like animation and comedy style. From what I've seen, it's just like desexualizing the body. You know, like this is just my butt. I just take my shirt. That's weird. But you're like, kids might struggle to like understand that. Maybe not. Maybe that's a good thing for kids to see. I don't know. But I agree. It's like a little bit pushy with the bodiness.
It's a your mileage may vary kind of thing.
100%.
And I was like, my mileage is varying with this.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like positive fofo.
That was fun. That's a fun line. Yeah. Steven Yeun's always good. He got his big break in animation with Invincible, but he's good in this. I like him not as a starring role. Like I think Steven Yeun is a star and has star power both in live action and in animation, but I really like him as a side character.
Yeah, him as the doormat boyfriend is pretty fun.
Weirdly good. That's all I have. Anything else before we move on?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. The last show that we watched this week that we'll be discussing is Scavenger's Reign. The first episode of which we watched is called The Signal. The show was written by Joseph Bennett, Charles Hutner, Sean Buklu, and James Merrill. It was directed by Bennett, Hutner, and Benji Brook. This series aired October 19th, 2023 on Max, the HBO network. Mitchell, what happened in the first episode of Scavenger's Reign?
In this episode, after the Demeter is damaged in deep space, the stranded crew members are separated across the alien planet Vesta, where they begin searching for survival resources while discovering its strange and dangerous life forms. Real quick, I think I heard the cats knock something over that I need to check on.
Sure.
And then I'll ask you what you thought of the episode after I check on it.
Sure.
1 second.
In Pokemon Go. Firstly, Snom can be shiny for the first time ever starting from Tuesday. You can get it from the Go Pass or...
All right. Ready?
Yes.
All right. Alan, what did you think of Scavenger's Reign?
As I said before, I do adore sci-fi, unique, creative sci-fi. I think when I was watching this, I had this thought, though, of like, how come every time I watch an adult animated show with slightly trippy animation, my first instinct is that I wish I was high? Like, why did I watch this? And I was like, instead of grasping onto the plot, I wish that I could dissociate and like be in a higher, like an altered mental state to watch this, because there's actually quite a lot of meat on this bone. It's really fascinating. It's got really great rules for its world, and it's quiet. Like it felt like I watched this on Saturday morning after watching everything else on like a loud Friday night, and then it was like Saturday morning, like drink my coffee, have my breakfast. Let's just like look at this weird, fucked up world with sad people on it. I actually, I came around and really liked this first episode of Scavenger's Reign. What about you?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, at first I was sort of like, does this go with the other stuff in this division?
Yeah.
But I think it raises interesting discussion points because it is categorized on HBO Max as adult animation. And I think that's part of, the boundaries of the genre is kind of like, well, how much is this actually a genre and what does it mean? Like so much of animation in the United States or, the English speaking West that's made for adults is like, it has to be funny. And this is not funny. This is quite serious. But it is still dealing with a lot of the, like you said in the first half, a lot of the same themes that some of these other shows deal with about isolation and that kind of thing. So as it went on and I kind of adjusted to the tone, I ended up really digging it because there's a lot of cool visual elements. There's really bright colors, strange creatures. The sound design is awesome. And it's really patient in exploring. We got these people who were in these escape pods. They landed on this planet, and all of these things are dangerous and strange. And here's kind of the lay of the land. We're going to develop these character relationships here and there where we need them. So I ended up really liking the show a lot, thinking it was pretty cool.
Yes, absolutely. I think it fits in the category of adult animation, and I think it's important. Like we were warned or alerted, like, hey, this is the only one of this bracket that's not a comedy or isn't in some way funny. And I was like, I'm fine with that. I think, in fact, it's important to cover stuff like this because, look, compare this to Final Space, right? Final Space often felt like it needed to be funny to justify its existence, or BoJack like couches a serious story inside of a comedy, and it's like, why can't you just tell a serious story? And like, this is what happens. It's really cool and isolated and lonely, and it gets canceled in like 12 episodes. Like it's so sad that the show gets canceled because I think that there should be room for serious animation that doesn't hold your hand and like give you 3 or 4 episodes of just like, look at me, I'm funny. It's like, no, just like, if this was a drama, this would have lasted longer probably, but it's being animated is what makes it really unique and amazing. And the alien designs are so crazy in this. Like, I'm obsessed with the goopiness. It's a very goopy show. I just think I want to stand up for show like this is right to exist. Right. I strongly believe that shows like this should exist more. But let's get into it a little bit more, do details. Sure. We've got our sort of A, B, and C plots here. We've got our 3 characters. It took me a while because of how little dialogue there was to like realize it's kind of, I had this thought during the episode and I laughed. It's kind of like the Modern Family pilot where you're like, how are any of these people related? Oh, these are all people on the same ship and they're going to reunite at some point. But not yet. So we've got Sam and Ursula, which are my favorite coupling here. They are an old man and a young woman using basically the flora and fauna of the planet to survive. They're playing like Minecraft. They're in a traditional survival series. Then you've got Ozzy and Levi, who are Levi, sorry. Ozzy is a cool biker. Levi is a robot voiced by Alia Shawkat, and the robot is becoming sentient. Something on the planet is doing something to Levi that's like either good or bad. I can't necessarily tell, but it's got some goop in it, and it's like it's thinking differently than it used to. Its programming is off. And then he doesn't get a name in this episode, but I read up that the guy's name is Common, or Cayman, which is just a guy who's being having the worst day of his life, being manipulated by an alien who's giving him visions of his past. And so he's kind of our look into what happened to the Scavenger's crew before the incident. Which of these storylines did you latch onto the most or find the most compelling?
For most of the episode, it was what's her name, Levi and
Ozzy,
and then at the end it was that guy having the worst day of his life, the psychic frog. I was like, damn, this is pretty cool. Yeah.
It's so sad. Just seeing his past, and he sees his wife, and she's like, "Come here," and then finally the alien leaves, and he's like, "No, wait, I needed that." Like it feels like he's just in trippy world, like this plot doesn't matter, but then he like is shocked back into reality, and it's like, oh fuck, that's a person who's not just having visions. That's like a person who still needs to survive and not live in the fucking mental prison that they're in. Yeah, that has to go somewhere. That's gonna go somewhere weird and fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I really love about that is how much of both of their characters is established without dialogue before they meet each other, because you have Common, who's the only one of the escape pod people who's by himself, it seems like. Or maybe there was someone with him who died. I wasn't looking too closely. And he's like ticking away the days. He doesn't have food. He's losing his grip on reality a bit. So you're like, okay, I understand this guy's in a bad way. And then you have this little baby psychic frog who's like going around eating little green guys, and then gets bullied by the other psychic frogs because it's a bit of a runt in comparison to them. So even though this thing doesn't say anything, you come to understand like, oh, you've got a score to settle, or like a little resentment in you, and also the ability to empathize with someone like this guy who is having an awful time. And so I really like that there's this ambiguity of, is this a mutually beneficial symbiotic relationship?
Yeah.
Is this psychic baby frog gonna use this man as part of some plan to like become king of the frog guys? It's pretty cool. And there's a lot of like growth, the psychic sludge going into his mouth as in his brain he thinks he's eating. When they first link and there's like the ball in his head of all the faces of people from his life, a lot of the visuals in that are pretty sweet.
Naturally, the first thing he says when he sees that is like, what the fuck? There's a lot of cursing in this.
There's a lot of cursing, yeah.
But like, to be fair, isn't that what you would do and say if you were like alone on a planet?
Yes.
Shit. The first line of the show is him going, I think is like Sam going like, shit, fuck, oh my god, no, fuck. Yeah, I think again, I don't know if we're pronouncing his name wrong because they don't say it in the episode, but I think Common is the like easily the weirdest, trippiest, like this needs to be animated to work plot of the series. Or else the budget would be not so futso. And the other ones are like, this is your standard fare. Girl talks to robot and is a cool biker. Girl and guy try to survive together. One of them almost dies but doesn't. Like, it's pretty straightforward down the plate. I think the thing I liked about Sam and Ursula is the most is not just their characterization. Sam is like deeply impatient and Ursula is deeply curious, but that like each of the aliens, they have been around long enough, the little fauna, that they're like, oh, I know what this thing does. They've turned them into tools and equipment, kind of like you're playing No Man's Sky or something. Like, oh, this thing, when I put my hand in it, inflates like a balloon and lets me float. Or this, like, it kind of felt video gamey in a way, but in a way that also made sense with the world building. Like, oh, we've done this enough that we tested this and tried out what all of these things do, and we know which tool does what.
Yeah, and each plot gives you 3 different impressions of how long they've been here, because clearly for them to know what all these animals do, they need to have been here for a while. And then you have Ozzy, who has a full garden of stuff, and you have Common, who's put like 20, 30 something tick marks on his tracker. So we're communicating in different ways. Here's how long these characters have been here. Here's the philosophies that each of them have taken to how they're going to engage with this scavenger life.
Yeah. Well, what does being a scavenger mean for you? Does it mean like keeping the robot in check, or does it mean foraging? Does it mean fighting things, or does it mean, in the case of Common, like just purely surviving? Literally just surviving. I didn't notice during the episode that it was Wunmi Mosaku as Ozzy. I want to give her flowers. She's so, I don't want to say underrated anymore, because she was just in Sinners. So she's like had her big break, but I think you're going to see a lot more of her over the next couple of years. I saw her first in Lovecraft Country, which is not a good show, but has a great start. It has one of the best starts and then worst drops. And then from there, she's just been in like hit after hit after hit, including this. So I loved her in this. I'm trying to think if there are any other voice actors that I immediately recognized, or if it was mostly like relative unknowns. Oh, I guess Ali Shawkat as Levi. Yeah. She's been doing mostly voice acting these days. And then I don't recognize anybody else from this cast. So that's the other thing. It's like this show feels like it doesn't exist. Like, how did this get made? And that's what makes it so interesting, is it's already about like a mysterious planet and world, and you're like, who are these voice actors? Why does this look so good? What was the budget on this? And how did it get 12 whole episodes? I want to like go to bat, because like you were saying, it feels weird. It feels like the outlier of these 8, but it definitely is adult animation. And if that's the name of the bracket, then it fits. I want to see the frog baby. I want to see the sludge go into the guy's mouth. These are things that I believe strongly in. Any other big thoughts or notes or things you wanted to dive into?
A lot of cool design stuff. The bike with like the big ball wheels is awesome. The way the Ursula almost gets killed by the fungus, or she does, or thinks she does, and that whole sequence is like so gross and cool looking. I really loved Levi, and was so mad at Ozzy for being mean to Levi.
Don't you dare be mean to Levi.
Yeah. And the part where Ozzy's getting so annoyed about Levi being too jumpy, and so goes, lower your threat your threat ratio or whatever, walks away, comes back, and there's like giant creatures licking Levi's arms off, and Levi's like, hey, quit it.
That was great.
That was pretty smart. Yeah.
No, this show's very singular. It's just really singular and cool and unique, and it almost it has that same feeling to me. Only Chatz can say this. It reminds me of Lex in some ways, where you're like, how does this exist? Not in the sense of like the sexual nature of Lex, but like, how did this get made? Anything can happen. Anything can get made if you work hard enough. And it's 2023, like a weird time for animation. Yeah, if this doesn't make it, I want to watch it really badly. I'm just like so curious. Not even like, I don't want to see where this goes. I know it's not gonna conclude its arcs, but just out of like pure curiosity, what the hell is this? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Do I have any other notes? Let me see. I also wrote, I'm mad at Ozzy. Love the guy becoming symbiotic with the frog baby, getting sludged. Sam and Ursula, the new Jack and Diane. Ozzy, the cynical biker girl. Yeah, I need to see Levi. It's like, why do you have just like the hint of like, hey, why do you have goop in your back? And she's like, I think the goop is good for me. And she's like, okay, that's crazy.
I'm gonna have to do a diagnostic of that later.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you spend a whole day doing diagnostics, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. And then just there's something deeply funny about Common's character, just like, hi, you're on this new planet. You are being mind controlled. And you're like, what the fuck? I didn't even get a chance to eat. I didn't even get a chance to be introduced. Like his whole character right away out the rip is like, your life sucks. You're trapped. Okay, that's all I got. So let's make some decisions, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
The way we make decisions on Toon Country Madness is we flip a coin to see who gets to pick first, and that person gets to take one of the two shows into the next round. Magellan, heads or tails?
Tails.
Okay.
Tails
Put
never
it
fails.
put it on the computer so people can see it. Oh god. Where did it go? Boom. You said tails? Okay. 3, 2, 1, flip. Tails, you win again. 2 weeks in a row.
Okay. I don't have super strong. There, each of these shows, there's like something about it that I'm kind of excited about,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it hard to pick. Like Final Space won me over in the last few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
BoJack, I know I'll enjoy a second episode of and have like more thoughts about. Tuca and Bertie, I don't know what else there is to see of it.
I want to support that show and I want people to watch it and like give it a try, but for the sake of our coverage, I'm like not interested in it.
Yeah. This is tough. I think I'm gonna go BoJack Horseman. It feels
okay.
I think I want to see a little more BoJack Horseman.
Okay, and we will when we roll back around. So the other show is gonna be my pick, and I am definitely between Final Space and Scavenger's Reign. I think that for the sake of our podcast, I think Final Space deserves another shot.
Okay.
I want to give them a shot. I'm already sold on Scavenger's Reign. I want to watch it, and in doing this, I'm freeing myself to binge all of it tomorrow.
It's also a 13 under 13, right? Because it wasn't intended to be short, or was it?
No, I think it was ended early because they had plans for it to get weirder. If you can believe it.
So that could be where that goes.
Yeah, we got to start finalizing that list at some point.
To Robot Jones.
And Tuca and Bertie, which is only 10 episodes. But no, wait, didn't Tuca and Bertie got like an Adult Swim second season or something? So I was confused.
Tuca and Bertie. Let's see. Let's explore this. Yeah, there was.
Oh, 30. No, never mind. There's 10 on Netflix.
2 Adult Swim seasons.
Okay.
10 on Netflix.
Oh, good for them. I think Adult Swim is a good place for that. That's cool that they gave Hannah Walt that.
Yeah.
So then,
I'd be interested in Scavenger's Reign. I'm putting it on a list or like a side thing of 13 under 13s that are coming out of this season.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so congratulations to Final Space and BoJack Horseman for clearing the first round of adult animation. Magellan, can you tell the folks what we're watching next week on Chatz, please?
Yeah, so next time we are doing an episode that captures a bunch of other. I think these are all from the initial list of patron suggestions that spawned this season. These are all anime dramas of varying kind of like sci-fi. It's more grounded. There's a mix. The 8 altogether are Clannad, Cowboy Bebop, Gankutsuo, Ghost in the Shell, Kaiji, Paranoia Agent, Ping Pong the Animation, and Vinland Saga. We could go like random of which ones are next week. We could go try to split them genre wise. We could do chronological. Do you have any instincts there?
My brain always wants to lead chronological.
Okay, so like first 4 chronologically and then last 4 chronologically.
Mm-hmm. I don't see another connecting thread between these 8 that I could do in 4 and 4.
Okay.
Except
so we'll do that. We're gonna have to look up the years that those premiered in order to do that. But next week we will do 4 of those shows, and then we'll do 4 more the following week.
Oh, brilliant! Some of these are on YouTube. We have to be careful with Well, Gankutsu I think is hard to find, but we can find it. Paranoia Agent's easy. Ping Pong's easy to find, but you have to be careful because it is in 2 languages. It is primarily in Japanese, but there are characters who speak entirely in Chinese. And some streaming services don't translate the Chinese, but they're supposed to. So I will handle that for us.
Okay. Interesting.
Of these shows, I've seen Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, and Paranoia Agent, and Ping Pong the Animation. So I've seen half of these. Oh, good.
I've seen most of Cowboy Bebop, but I don't think I've watched all of it, and that's it. So
fantastic.
Not new stuff for me.
Brilliant. Magellan, in the meantime, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on another podcast I do with my friend Justin called Super Smash Echoes, where we play video games related to the Super Smash Brothers franchise, Super Smash Echoes. Check it out. You can also find me on Bluesky at notthatmagellan.bsky.social and on Ghost at not-that-magellan.ghost.io. Alan, what about you?
You can hear me on a few other podcasts. I'm primarily on The Creature Court, which is a Pokemon podcast I do with my friend Six over on scanlinemedia.com. And more recently on patreon.com/scanlinemedia, I was on a wonderful episode of Battle Crow, which is a podcast that attempts to not talk about Dota 2 on a podcast from within a video game. It's a spin-off of their show Battle Crow. We play games while talking. We usually eat weird food, have weird drinks, and just kind of goof off. It's a very fun hangout show. And I was just on their episode covering or playing Super Battle Golf, which is a delightful little Steam game that I recommend. So check out Battle Crow's latest episode over on patreon.com/scanlinemedia to hear me. Oh, and I'm on Blue Sky, of course. Ibrahim, AIBRAHIM. Magellan, it's an even episode, so if you could please do the plug zone.
I would love to. Quick question: Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, right?
Yes, standalone
complex series.
That's right.
Okay, I'm looking up the years as we wrap up the episode. Yeah, I'd love to do the plug zone. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can do so in a few different ways. You can email us at chatzpod.bsky.social with questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, requests. If you want to be on an episode of Toon Couch Toon Madness, either for these drama animes or for later, the last 2 divisions, which we'll talk about next time and what their deal is, email us. You could also get in touch with us on Blue Sky at chatzpod.bsky.social. And besides that, we are... Oh, where are you? Here you are. My list of things to say. My beautiful list. We're on YouTube. That's a television podcast on YouTube where you can see a video version of the show. You can see me repping Leroy's Place in Brooklyn.
Which we went to. I finally got to go to Leroy's Place.
And what do you think?
It kicks ass. It's fucking cool. You should go.
You should go. So that's video versions on YouTube. Alan's wearing an AEW shirt. That's fun. Holding a mug. All the good things. You can also just listen to the podcast audio style, animal style. And that's on the places where you would normally find podcasts. Wherever you find us, rate, review, share. Do that. It's helpful. If you have money that you want to give us, hey, we'll take it. Go to Patreon. Patreon.com/chatspod. Support us at $1, $3, or $5 a month. $1 gets you onto the Discord. $3 gets you twice monthly bonus content. And $5 gets you thanked right here at the end of every episode. Thank you, of course, to Stephen, Six, Noel, Nick of the Brothers at Infinite War, MP, my mom, Marcus, Lee, Kyrie, girlfriend of the podcast, Kelly, Justin, Ben, Isha, Emrys, Emily, Arthur, and fiance of the podcast, Amanda. Thank you, folks, for supporting the show. Thank you also to Camilla at Camillastrator for our podcast art. Alan, now it's time for our Chatzums. Things for folks to snack on now and next time. But before we do the Chatzums, it looks like we found all the premiere years for our anime dramas. So we can tell you for surezies what we're going to be watching next week and the following week. Next week is going to be Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, the subtitle
Standalone
that I said
Complex.
earlier, Standalone Complex, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kutsuo and Paranoia Agent. And then the following week will be Clannad, Kaiji, Ping Pong the Animation, and Vinland Saga. I look forward to that. So Chatsums, things to snack on between now and next time when we talk about those things. Alan, what is or are your Chatsums for this week?
I want to recommend a local business. I don't know if I've actually chatted some of them before, but I can look.
Okay.
So the Boston Globe, which is the paper of record in here in Boston, has a newsletter, a sub newsletter that was founded a couple years ago called The B-Side. I have not chatted this. Okay, great. The B-Side is run by Emily Cherio, who is a friend of my, full disclosure, a friend of mine, and I've done a podcast with her before. I've interviewed her. The B-Side is like their Gen Z focused newsletter. What to do in Boston, where to hang out. It's an awesome newsletter. It's free. It comes out every weekday. If you live in the Boston area, or even just greater Massachusetts, you owe it to yourself to subscribe to the B-Side. They have polls, they have local news, they have details about elections, they have activities that are both free and paid for you to do around the city every week. I love the B-Side, and I've been subscribed to it since it started. Definitely subscribe to that. Get their numbers boosted because they're awesome, and they're one of the cool things that the pandemic gave us was this like a big newsletter boom. And the reason I'm chat-simming them is that yesterday, August 1st, 2026, they had their second annual Best Day Ever, which is a local event that they host usually. I don't know where the first one was, but this one was in South Boston, and they get a bunch of local businesses to bring food and like clothing for you to peruse. So you can do thrifting and eating on like a very low budget. Like you pay for like a $20 ticket. I paid $10 on a flash sale, and then you get in and you have like 3 or 4 hours to just like eat infinite food and have sample drinks and go thrift shopping. And there's live music. It's awesome. I had a great time. So check out the B-Side, and if you're in the area, go to Best Day Ever next year because it kicks ass.
Nice.
What about you, Magellan?
I have another music chatsum this week. There's an artist that I was put onto by former roommate of the podcast, Charlie, who recommended MJ Lenderman.
Oh my god!
You're an MJ Lenderman fan?
I'm a huge. Oh my god! What's the song? Wristwatch. Wristwatch is the best song ever made. No, they're really good, and they've done good stuff. But sorry, you please do your piece.
MJ Lenderman. Indie rock, alt country is a good way to describe the genre. I've mostly listened to songs from the latest album, Manning Fireworks, which I really like. I think it's MJ Lenderman's fourth studio album, or fourth solo album. Yeah, and there's just a few songs I like, but it gives me the vibe of like a lower key car seat headdress kind of thing, where if you really like lyrics that you think they're going to be sort of kind of set dressing lyrics, and then the singer will say something and you're like, that's a weird way to say that, wow, now you're actually making me think about this thing. That's what I like about the lyrics. And yeah, the music is very kind of low key. I think does it a slight disservice, but it's alt country I think is the right way to think about it.
And so he's also done some work with Waxahachie, who I also adore, and they have a song together called Right Back to It, which is on Waxahachie's latest album, that I highly recommend if you like his voice. But yeah, he does do that. He does be doing that thing where you're like, what do these lyrics even mean? This seems like nonsense. And then you're like, oh. He has a Song Exploder episode about wristwatch also that I recommend.
Ooh, yeah. Song Exploder.
I should listen to the whole album. I've been like peeking at MJ Lenderman for months and not dug into him. But
I really like the song Rip Torn off of that.
Named after the actor?
You don't know the shape I'm in. Named after the actor, I believe.
Amazing. Okay. Oh, that's
Let me
good.
find. There's a lyric that I really like. You said there's men and then there's movies. Then there's men and men in black. You said there's milkshakes and there's smoothies. You always lose me when you talk like that.
Ooh.
It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you're saying all these things.
Yeah.
That's what we got, though. Magellan, thank you so much for being the birdie to my Tuca. Because we're both birds. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you so much to everybody out there for listening to Toon Couch Toon Madness. Peace.
Bye-bye.